Hi guys, it's Tamara. I'm back with another video. We're going to close out our week by talking about the differences between psychopaths and sociopaths. And I think that this is a topic that a lot of people are interested in. One of the reasons I think we are so interested in this topic is because pop psychology and modern movies and social media posts and stories and news briefings all revolve around the exciting data of modern serial killers, modern sociopaths, political sociopaths, right? Sociopaths who we're all familiar with in our history, who have done the most heinous things. It draws our attention, right? Whether we're talking about the past or the future or the present, it draws our attention. So we're going to focus in, we're going to zone in on this today. And I want to make this as clear as I can for you. I have a lot of people asking, well, what's the difference between a sociopath and a psychopath, and how do you know what's what? So we're going to focus on that. I'm also going to I'm also going to focus on 4 different people in our modern society that have engaged in serial killing. I apologize, guys, in advance. I'm very tired today. It's been a very long day, so I apologize for my stuttering. So let's go ahead and jump in, guys. If you are subscribed to my channel, thank you so much for being subscribed. If you are not, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button over there and stick around with me as we build our community. It's a pretty small community. It's about 800 and so subscribers, but we are growing daily and hourly, and I'm just so impressed by that. Thank you so much. I definitely want to build the rest of this channel for you guys. A lot of you have so much to offer, and I love your emails, your tweets, your text messages, your comments on the channel. So thank you. So we're going to continue to grow. The benefits for you today in this video is that we're going to talk about serial killers. We're going to talk about basically the differences between psychopaths and sociopaths. And psychopaths tend to be the serial killers in our society. We're going to talk a little bit about that. All right. So when we think about sociopath, right, we kind of think about it in an all-encompassing way. We think about it as, okay, so here's a person who has no empathy, no care, no concern. They're careless. You know, they have no guilt. They have no empathy. They push my buttons. They manipulate me. They're lying. They're deceitful. They're pathological in their lying. You know, they're very manipulative. They have a very ill sense of right versus wrong, right? They can't figure out what's what and why it's important to be right versus being wrong. All of that is also characteristic of a sociopath. I want you to keep in mind that a sociopath and a psychopath, they have very similar traits. So we can, you know, they have crossing traits, or we can cross over, right? A sociopath can have the same trait as a psychopath, right? Okay, so that's important as the foundation and basis of our conversation today. Psychopaths and sociopaths can very much have the same traits. Okay, I once had a colleague of mine say to me years ago, this was about 10 years ago, she was like, Tamara, don't you think that psychopaths are worse than sociopaths? And before I was experienced in this field, and I actually sat across from psychopaths and sociopaths, and I said, yeah, I think that in some ways a sociopath and a psychopath are the same, and I really don't think that one's worse than the other. Boy, was I wrong. A sociopath has a very messed up sense of right versus wrong, but a psychopath is that much worse, right? So a sociopath is technically the milder version of the psychopath, if you can see it that way. It's the milder version of the psychopath. The sociopath is the individual who's often narcissistic, charming, intelligent, often self-taught and self-learned. They are often sneaky and deceitful and manipulative, and they lack empathy and they lack direction, right? They're often engaging in criminal or antisocial behavior. Sometimes violence is an ingredient, but not always. So it can be kind of difficult, right? To say, well, isn't this the same as that? And is that worse, or is that worse? the feature that I always try to tell clients to focus on when they are trying to determine the differences between a sociopath and a psychopath is the fact that psychopaths tend to dissociate, and I'm going to put that over here. They dissociate much faster. They dissociate much worse than a sociopath, okay? A psychopath dissociates much faster and much easier than a sociopath. They have the ability, to automatically detract from the situation and say, nope, I have no feelings, no emotions, no guilt, no empathy. I am going to do what I'm going to do. All right. A few people who have done this in our modern history is this. Okay. Let me give you the names. Shannan Gilbert. Okay, I'm going to put everything in the description box below, the name and then what they did. So Shannan Gilbert is 1, Darren Van is 2, William, I'm going to say Howell, I'm probably mispronouncing that. And you are very familiar with the last individual, the 4th individual that I'm going to mention, Chris Watts. He was the psychopath who had been having an affair on his beautiful wife and his beautiful children. And she was pregnant with a new child and everything seemed wonderful. He even got on camera, guys. You know this story. He even got on camera and said to a variety of news stations that he's hurt, he's confused, he doesn't know where she went, why she disappeared. He doesn't know if she's dead or alive. And after the investigation and after multiple attempts to get to the bottom line, the police and the FBI were able to get him to crack. And he admitted to murdering his beautiful wife and his beautiful children and newborn baby. Psychopath, 100%. Why? Because he wanted the woman that he was in a relationship with, he was having an affair with, he wanted her, and he wanted nothing to do with his family. They had been knee-high in debt, right? They didn't have any ability to move or maneuver. And so, in my mind, it makes perfect sense for a psychopath, right? Kill the family, get insurance money, pay the bills, get rid of the debt, and have a new woman on the side, right? It makes so much sense to a psychopath. So what do? When you premeditate something, you carry it out, right? And then you try to cover up the fact that you did it. What do you have to have on the inside of you as an ingredient, right, of your makeup as a person to be able to do that? You have to be able to dissociate, and that's what he did. He pulled away much easier, much faster than a sociopath would. He pulled away from the situation, and he said, you know what? We're knee-high in debt. I want this woman that I'm having an affair with. I think what I'm going to do is just kill my wife, my family, my soon-to-be newborn baby, and I'm going to get the insurance money, pay off all my debt, and go ahead and live a life with this woman. And I'm going to lie and see to it that I have a wonderful life with a new woman. Makes sense in the mind of a psychopath, right? A sociopath would have just a little bit of a harder time dissociating from that act. They would have a little bit of a harder time. Keep this in mind as well, guys, that sociopaths are made by their environment. Whatever has happened to them over the course of their life, whatever has happened to them throughout childhood, adolescence, adulthood, it could even be a traumatic experience, right? It could shape and make that individual into a sociopath. We have to consider children as malleable, right? They're like clay. And the environment is like the maker of that clay. And so when the environment is unhealthy, traumatic, confusing, invalidating, emotionally absent, right? That is molding and shaping that child into whatever they're going to become as an adolescent and an adult. Now, things are never that black and white in the field of psychology, is it? Because what can happen is therapy can get in, loved ones can get in, friends can get in, coaches can get in, positive experiences can get in, and it can totally derail that child's fate. And not every child becomes a sociopath. We also have children who are we also have children who are traumatized, and they could come across as a sociopath because the trauma has caused them to dissociate from their reality. It has also caused them to be able to numb themselves and become very emotionally detached and putting you off. So we have to be careful with labels. We have to be careful with self-diagnosis. And we also have to be careful with how we see ourselves, because you're too close to the picture to see who you really are and what your symptoms are. All right, let's say you're watching this video and you're thinking, okay, I'm a psychopath. Maybe not. You might even be thinking, well, maybe I'm just traumatized and I'm not a sociopath. Possibly. You have to be careful with self-diagnosis, and I totally discourage my clients from doing that half the time, because when you go online and you Google something and your anxiety starts rising and your mind starts going and you have absolutely no experience in diagnosis, you're going to arrive at an answer that's going to be unhealthy. So I discourage you from self-diagnosis. I encourage you with self-knowledge. Go ahead and educate yourself, but do not apply a label to yourself. I do believe in self-fulfilling prophecies, and I believe that if you label yourself something, you're definitely going to live up to it one way or the other. Thank you so much, guys, for being with me today. We did not make it under 10 minutes, but that's all right. We'll try it again next week. Thank you so much for being with me. I encourage you to give this video a thumbs up if it was helpful to you. And I also encourage you to hit that subscribe button and stick around with me. All right, guys, I'll see you Monday.